welcome to the TMI Bible. Today I was thinking about Esther. Okay, so Queen Esther is supposed to marry King Xerxes. Ahasuerus is what he's referred to in the King James Bible. Anyway, Esther, who had another name, Haddassah, before she became Esther. Esther is her Persian name. Haddassah is her Jewish name. Anyway, Queen Esther was a nice girl, lived with her uncle Mordecai, or cousin, whichever version you want to hear. But I always think of it as uncle because I was raised with a lot of different family members and none of them were cousins. Anyway, Esther was one of those girls who always followed directions, always did what she was supposed to do. And as a reward, God allowed her to be in the harem of the king. Wait a minute, that doesn't sound very exciting. That's probably what she thought the whole first year she was in that place. The king rounded up all the gorgeous women in the whole kingdom and brought them in, all the gorgeous girls. And Esther, unfortunately, she probably thought unfortunately at that moment, was really, really beautiful. Now, there are some of you who grew up feeling not so hot, and you probably would have given anything to be in Esther's position. Somebody who was considered the most beautiful, among the most beautiful women in the kingdom. But this girl had to leave her home, had to leave everything behind in order to do this. And I'm sure she wasn't that excited about such a prospect. But she did it. Now she, along with thousands of others, were brought in and they performed beauty treatments for a year. Yeah, that's what we call them. Actually, they were bathed in a certain type of oil that had to touch every part of their body to make it fragrant. So that at the end of the year, when they went before the king in the time before deodorant, they wouldn't stink. Okay? That's exactly what it was all about. The girl would be nervous and probably sweaty, and if her pores were sweating out some beautiful oil, that smelled amazing, the king was just happier, It was win-win for him. The girl could go before the king once. Go before the king. You know what that means. He was going to sleep with her. And then she would never go back unless he called her by name. Now imagine those poor forgotten ones. They sleep with the king. They lose their virginity. Now they're nobodies. They are in the king's harem for life. They don't get to go home if he rejects them. And they have to stay there. That's it. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, you were selected, you were gorgeous, and now all that beauty is wasted sitting around in a harem, forgotten by the king. If he happened to walk in and look at you and go, I haven't tasted that flavor for a while, then maybe you were lucky for that one day. But how lucky is that? To be one of many, and maybe the forgotten many. Into this mess, Esther is thrown, and she's humble enough to not expect to be the one who wins. So I'm sure she's thinking the whole time, oh my gosh, this is awful. He tells her, Mordecai, her uncle, tells her, don't tell anybody you're a Jew. So at the end of the year, she goes before the king, oh Lord. The king and her, they get together. I keep getting this thought. For the king, it was probably more like doing the nasty. That king has been with every girl. He probably doesn't have any patience, or he's toying with them. However it works, he's either going to woo them into falling madly in love, and then, never select them again, or he's just in and out and let the girl deal with the consequences, He doesn't have time for this. Either way, it doesn't sound very romantic to me. It sounds destructive. So she goes before the king, and thankfully, she happens to be the one that he remembers the most and likes the most. Yay! She gets to be the queen! Doesn't that sound romantic? Now, ladies, how many of you have gone a whole month without seeing your husband, without him even thinking your direction? Later on in the book of Esther, that's what happens. Yes, there are political things going on. There are amazing things for the Jewish kingdom, Jewish people. There are amazing things going on everywhere. And there are a lot of significant biblical things going on. But I am focused on the parts that they don't preach much from the altar. And this is one of them. It had been a month since the king had asked for her. when Mordecai told her that there was a plot to kill all the Jews and she would have to step forward and save everybody. Yes, she did. She stepped forward. She saved everybody. She was a rock star, okay? Esther did her duty, and she did it well every single time. She did what she was supposed to do by romancing this king and making him fall in love. She did what she was supposed to do by waiting patiently for an entire month that he didn't call her. And she wasn't even expecting him to call her within the next few days, because she even told Mordecai, Mordecai, if I come before the king without permission, he can kill me. He can have me killed. What kind of insanity is that? What kind of marriage is that? The king likes you enough to sleep with you, to put a crown on your head, and to say, go make me a sandwich. But he doesn't like you enough to give you free access to him? That's insane. I mean, I know men need their man cave and all that stuff they're talking about these days, but a month? And he can kill her if she comes before him without permission? Okay, so it frustrates me. I really like good marriages where there's a lot of collaboration, people get along and love each other. Or at least good marriages where there's fighting and craziness, but they love each other and they want to be together. But this takes the cake. So she hadn't seen him for a month, and she had to make a feast and have several feasts to remind him of why he loved her so much. During these feasts, she's there flirting with her husband, treating his friend, who is trying to kill her people, nicely and charmingly. She's trying to get the king to remember why he thought she was amazing, because it had been a month since he saw her. And you know where he's been during that month. All those forgotten girls are getting their chance. This is disgusting. Okay, so that system is abhorrent to me. I really like the one man, one woman marriage thing. I really like the respect and mutual admiration and the free access to my husband. In other words, if he happens to be lying on our bed, I can walk in without being killed. Okay, so here we go. And at the end, she finally tells him. And because he has been reminded for 3 days of 3 feasts of all of her charms, he is willing to do whatever it takes to save her. So apparently she's charming enough, and she has his heart enough that he is able to see that he wants to save her and her people. But she's not charming enough to have him visit more than once a month. This frustrates the heck out of me. But I guess life back then, life in a king's castle, I have no idea what to think. I just find that whole story so sickening sometimes. But I do think Esther rocks. She took a really impossible situation, and she did it well. I am a whiny, pain-in-the-butt wife who gets mad if my husband doesn't want to spend time with me at least once a week, doing something sweet, eye-to-eye contact. So I can't imagine what it would be like to live like Esther. But I am very proud of her, and I think she was amazing, and that's why she's one of my favorite stories in the Bible.